Let me ask you something strange. If I told you that a single dollar, one single crumpled dollar bill, could silently steal 5, 10, maybe even 15 years of wealth from your life, would you believe me? Probably not, because $1 feels like nothing. You drop one getting out of your car and you don't even bother picking it up. You round up at the checkout counter without thinking twice. A dollar is what you find in an old jacket pocket and feel mildly happy about. But here's the thing. The dollar itself isn't the problem. It's what that dollar represents and the decision hiding behind it that changes everything. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at small money decisions completely differently. And I mean that. There's a belief most of us grow up with. It sounds reasonable. It even sounds responsible. The belief is this: big results come from big actions. You want to get fit? You need an intense gym routine. You want to build wealth? You need a high-paying job, a big investment, or maybe a business idea that takes off. You want to change your financial life? You need something significant to happen first. So we wait. We wait for the raise. We wait for the right moment. We wait until we have enough to start. And while we're waiting, we make thousands of tiny financial decisions every single day. What to buy, what to skip, what to automate, what to ignore. And we treat those small decisions like they don't matter. That's the mistake. Not the dollar, the dismissal of the dollar. There's actually a name for this in psychology. It's called money minimization, the mental habit of writing off small amounts as irrelevant because they feel too small to make a difference. And almost every one of us does it without even realizing. Let me introduce you to two people, both 25 years old, both earning the same income, both living in the same city. Meet Jordan and Alex. Jordan has a habit. Every day, almost without thinking, Jordan spends about $5 on small, forgettable things. A coffee here, a random app subscription there, snacks at the checkout. Nothing dramatic, nothing Jordan would even remember by Thursday. Alex has a slightly different habit. Alex notices those same $5 every day, and instead of spending them, puts them into a simple index fund. $5 a day. That's $150 a month. Now here's where it gets interesting and a little uncomfortable. At a modest average return of around 8% per year, that $150 a month that Alex is investing in 30 years becomes roughly $220,000. Jordan's coffees and forgotten app subscriptions, gone. Not even a memory. Same income, same city, same age. One decision made quietly every single day, separating them by over $200,000. That is what a dollar, or 5, actually costs. Not today, but across time. And this is where we have to talk about the most powerful and most misunderstood force in all of personal finance: compound interest. Most people have heard of it. Very few people actually feel it. And that's the problem. Here's the simplest way to understand it. Imagine you have a snowball. You put it at the top of a very long hill and give it a little push. At first, it rolls slowly. It picks up a little snow. Nothing impressive. You'd walk away thinking, that's it. But halfway down the hill, something shifts. The snowball is now bigger, so it picks up more snow with every rotation. The bigger it gets, the faster it grows. By the time it reaches the bottom, it's enormous, and most of that size came from the second half of the journey, not the first. That's compound interest. Your money earns returns, then those returns earn returns, then those returns earn returns, slowly at first, then dramatically, then almost shockingly fast. But here's the critical detail everyone misses. The snowball needs time more than it needs size. A large snowball that only rolls for a few feet will always be smaller than a tiny snowball that rolls the full length of the hill. This is why starting small, but starting early, is one of the most powerful wealth-building moves you can make. And it's also why every year you delay, every month you say, I'll start when things settle down, costs you far more than the money itself. So if this math is so clear, why don't people act on it? This is where it gets really fascinating. Because the problem isn't knowledge. It's psychology. Our brains are wired for the present. This is called present bias, our deeply human tendency to value what we can enjoy right now over what we could have later. It's not a character flaw. It's actually ancient survival wiring. For most of human history, grabbing what was in front of you made sense. The future was uncertain. Today was real. But we don't live in that world anymore. And this ancient wiring is quietly costing modern people enormous amounts of wealth. Here's how present bias shows up in real life. You know intellectually that saving is important, but the coffee is right there. The comfort is right now. The investment return is 30 years away. Your brain doesn't feel 30 years. It can barely feel next Tuesday. So we rationalize. We tell ourselves things like, it's just one coffee. I'll start investing when I make more money. I deserve this. I've been working hard. One small purchase isn't going to change anything. And here's the really sneaky part. Every single one of those thoughts feels completely reasonable in the moment. That's what makes present bias so dangerous. It doesn't feel like a bias. It feels like common sense. There's another layer to this. Psychologists call it the drop in the bucket effect. When an amount feels tiny compared to a big goal, our brains tend to dismiss it entirely. If you need $500,000 to retire comfortably, saving $5 today feels so laughably small that it almost feels pointless. But that math is completely backwards. The first dollars you save and invest are actually the most valuable ones because they have the most time to compound. The $5 you invest at 25 is worth dramatically more than the $50 you invest at 45. The drop isn't insignificant. The drop is actually the beginning of the ocean. So what do you actually do with this? First, stop waiting for a dramatic moment to start. Wealth doesn't usually begin with a windfall. It begins with a decision. And that decision can start with any amount. $10 a month, 20, 50. The number matters less than the habit. Second, automate it so your brain doesn't have to fight itself. Every time you leave the spending decision up to willpower in the moment, present bias shows up. You will feel the coffee. You will not feel the compound interest. So remove the decision entirely. Set up an automatic transfer on payday, even a small one, so the money moves before you can spend it. Pay your future self first, before your present self even notices. Third, reframe small amounts. This one is subtle but powerful. Instead of asking, what does this cost me today? Ask, what does this cost me in 20 years? A $200 impulse purchase isn't just $200. At 8% compound growth over 20 years, that's closer to $930. That's not to make you anxious about every purchase. It's to make you intentional about the ones that don't actually matter to you. Because here's the thing. Some spending is absolutely worth it. Experiences, people you love, things that genuinely improve your life. Money spent there is not a mistake. The mistake is the unconscious spending, the forgettable stuff, the subscriptions you forgot you had, the purchases you made out of boredom or habit. That's where the years of wealth quietly disappear. And fourth, respect the boring truth about wealth. Building real wealth is almost never exciting. It doesn't make for a great story at a dinner party. There's no dramatic moment, no big reveal. It's mostly just consistent, quiet, slightly boring decisions made week after week, year after year. The people who understand this are the ones who end up genuinely free. So let's go back to where we started. $1. Completely insignificant on its own. Something you wouldn't think twice about. But money has never really been about the individual dollar. It's about the pattern behind the dollar, the habit, the mindset, the unconscious signal you send to yourself every time you make a financial decision, big or small. Every time you choose intention over impulse, even once, even with a tiny amount, you're not just saving money, you're training your brain to see the future is real, to believe that your future self is worth protecting. And over time, that shift in belief changes everything. The $1 mistake isn't really about a dollar. It's about the habit of treating your financial future like it can wait. It can't. And it doesn't. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now with whatever you have, even if it's just $1.